Well, I got shoelaces undone. You should probably fix that. You always want to make sure that, hold on. You always got to make sure that you're walking around, that your shoes are tied appropriately. You need to wear appropriate clothing for the appropriate weather. We're here on the west coast of BC, where we wear shorts. Shorts in the winter. Hey everybody, how you doing? So, we're on Vancouver Island. The other day I'm like, hey, heck it, man, we're gonna get on the ferry. We're gonna go over here and explore some backcountry. And well, here we are on the island, and look what I ran into. Our dear friend Snow. Not that minus 30, minus 20 garbage that we've been into. Oh, heck no. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we ran into snow. Those are some pretty big paw prints, man. Look at that. Oh, there's a Bigfoot. Whoa, it's a little narrow in here. It's the exploration part of this van life that keeps me excited about it. It's the constant being in new places, or like exploring down a little road like that one to find an amazing camp spot like this one. It's the constant exploration. It's the forever changing elements that we go through. So like the other day, you seen me being minus 30. I'm not prepared for that stuff. My van's not built for minus 30 winters, and nor was it even a thought when I started my van life that I got to prepare for minus 30. So I've been born and raised on the west coast of Vancouver, where we don't see weather any colder than minus 5. And my van is great up to about minus 20, minus 25 is where the tipping point comes in, and I start to lose the comfort part of living in a van in the winter. And that's the exciting part about this whole lifestyle, is the experiences you go through. And for me, being a YouTuber, going through these experiences are great, because then I can educate you guys on what is going on with me and how my van was built and what elements my van works in and doesn't work in. So today I figured we would talk to you guys about my van and winter van life. When I first built out this van, I never built it to be in extreme winters. That has never been an interest in my life, and now today, still not an interest in my life. I built my van for the elements that I was living in when I first built it. There's a small amount of insulation behind those walls. And it's not like I put in the insulation, put in the walls, built my van, and learned my lesson the hard way. When I first started this van life, I was completely broke. I didn't have very much money at all, and I was drowning in debt. So for me to spend $100 on insulation really hurt the pocketbook. But when I first lived in here, I did a 1/2-inch layer of insulation on the walls, 2 1/2-inch layers on the roof, and that's it. But I never put my walls up. I lived through one winter seeing all my insulation. And it did me fine. I was super warm. It was great for the first winter. So that's when I realized that what I have in here for insulation is enough, completely enough for the lifestyle that I'm living. So when you're building out your van, keep in mind where you're going to be living your van life. If you are the person that might be chasing a bit more of an extreme winter, you may want to think about going a little harder on the insulation side of things and cutting down on stuff like windows or ways for all that stuff to escape. It's good to have windows though, you guys. But windows, no matter what you're in, is going to be your number one source of heat loss in a van unless you do some crazy coverings over the front of it to try and contain as much of that as you can. But windows are going to be the number one thing where that heat's going to go, peace out. I'm going to avoid any weather that keeps me inside. I don't want to be inside in this lifestyle. On a chilly day like today where it might be a little rainy outside, I would rather be out here than being trapped inside of my van home. Come on, man. When you live in a vehicle that allows you to be outside in epic places, why would you want to stay inside of it? So if you're the kind of person that likes to chase warmer weather, I'd go do that in your van for damn sure. So my van has a minimal amount of insulation inside of it, making for chillier nights when it does get cold. I have a 2 kilowatt Webasto heater that is tapped into my van's gasoline tank, so I don't have to have an extra fuel source like diesel or anything in here. But that 2 kilowatt heater is perfect for my van life. I know you heard me say in a video the other day that if you plan on doing winter stuff, you may want to think about getting a larger kilowatt heater, whether you're doing the gasoline version like mine or you're picking up a diesel version, depending if you want an external fuel source or if you have a diesel in your van. I just suggest tapping into your van's gas tank. Just makes things so much easier, because as long as your van's gas tank is full, you can go out and have some fun in the backcountry for days and days and days and days and days without needing to bring a container of extra fuel, because I have lots of friends that have the diesel tanks and then they only last them about 3 days in cold weather, sometimes 2 days in cold weather, and they need another 10 liters of fuel. So think about that if you plan on being away from towns or cities, because then you're always tied to carrying around an extra jerry can, which kind of sucks in your van. But people do it, or people just do the conversion and get larger tanks, like converting their van to like a 20 liter tank or a 40 liter tank underneath their beds. I just don't want to carry that much flammable stuff in a separate container in my van. It just doesn't seem right to me. So tapping the fuel tank is always, in my opinion, the smarter and less inconvenient, the smarter and more convenient way to go. That's why I made the choice for the heater that I do have. So in that video where I was in minus 30, my 2 kilowatt heater just did not keep up, which is fine. I did learn though that my hose, so my heater's got a little hole right there where the heat comes out of. My hose on the inside wasn't 100% attached to the inside, so it was probably losing about 10% of that heat underneath my bed. And I forgot I did it like that. I propped it like that just to get some heat under my bed to see if it would help with some of that moisture. And I forgot to kind of pop it back on and put the clamp back on it. So that night probably would have been a lot more warmer if 100% of that heat was going into the living space of the home. So that was on me. We woke up and it was like between 4 and 6 degrees Celsius in the van with my heater on high. Now, if that was properly put on that piece and all the heat was coming in here, it probably would have been a whole lot more comfortable. But keep that in mind though. So I would never put a 5 kilowatt heater in my van. Never. Why? Because I don't plan on spending a majority of my winter in that cold of temperature. A 5 kilowatt heater in the van life that I would prefer, so anything minus 10 and warmer, a 5 kilowatt heater would be way too, how do I put it? I'd have to keep the 5 kilowatt heater on low, way too much to heat my van. And when you run a large heater like that on too low of a setting, you're gonna carbon up a lot. And that's the biggest problem with those heaters, is they like to be run at a higher temperature. So if you have a smaller heater, you can run it on a higher temperature, keeping that burn chamber and everything in really good shape. So the hotter it is, the less carbon buildup you're gonna get, which means the longer lasting and less maintenance you're going to have with your heaters. So in my van life, the 2 kilowatt heater is perfect. I just don't want to put myself in anything less than minus 25. And if in my entire life I've been in minus 30 one day, then I'm hoping maybe 45 years I'll be in it again for another one day. But I am not going to chase that weather. That is not what I got into this van life for. So choosing the right heater for your van is 100% key. You don't have to go overboard and put a name brand Webasto heater in your van like I did. You can get the knockoff versions of the diesel one. As far as I know right now, they don't make a knockoff for the gasoline version. If you do know of one like that, please put them down below and help some people out. But yeah, you can do propane. So I ran propane in my van until this one went in the summer. I was running propane for the last few years, and I loved my Olympian Wave 3 heater. It did a bang up job inside of my van. I just needed the extra space back because inside of here was where I kept my giant 20-gallon, 20-liter, the big 20-pound tank was inside of there. Now I have that cabinet back, and I also don't have that giant propane tank because it always scared me that if someone hit the side of my van and that thing went, living in a van is a crazy thing. Life throws a lot of things at you, but when you're living in a van, you deal with a lot more different elements than you would in a regular standard lifestyle, where you have a lot of comforts and a lot of luxuries from home. When you leave your home and get into a cold vehicle, you experience that cold vehicle for a very tiny amount of time. When you're living in a van, it's a whole different world. So extreme weather like I experienced the other day was completely out of nature, even for that area. That was probably 10 degrees colder in that area than what they normally would see over there, which is insane. But I wasn't ready for it. I shouldn't say that. I was ready for it. I have a heater, I've got batteries, I've got a van that's in good mechanical condition, I've got tire chains, I've got extra blankets, I've got winter jackets, gloves, pants, tons of food in my van for days on end, lots of extra propane for my burner and all these other kind of things. My van is 100% stocked. I have an air compressor to air down my tires if things get sticky. Did I say I have 4 tire chains? I've got recovery boards up on the roof, so if I get stuck, we can put the recovery things underneath there and get some more traction. My van is locked and loaded. Cruise has enough food in here for probably 3 months or more. And beer and tequila and all those other goody things to keep me warm on the inside. But I'm ready. I just wasn't ready for minus 30 and what happened that night. So I learned a lesson that I didn't know. I didn't know that when you start your van in those colder temperatures, that grinding noise you hear from your engine is normal. I didn't know. I just started my thing. I'm like, whoa, 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 that was not a good noise. So I started, when I listened, I'm like, no, that's not good. So in the area that I was born and raised and the climate that I've been used to for the last 46 years, when you start your van and it makes a noise, it needs to go to the mechanic shop. That's why I called a tow truck. I'm like, this is not, and I started it a few times trying to figure out what that noise was. I automatically thought something was probably frozen up there. And I didn't know. And my comments were riddled with people saying, oh, Chrome, don't worry about it, buddy. Don't worry about it, bro. It's just your power steering. Give it like 5-10 minutes. It'll stop and go away. I always just learned that when your engine's doing that stuff, just shut it off and get it fixed. But those are things that, we all learn in time. And I'm super excited that I went through that day because I learned a lot of lessons about my van, about cold weather. I learned about that noise. I learned that I have a block heater. And I also learned that I made a mistake when it came to my heating. But those nights, you're not prepared for what I thought was an engine problem. And you're not prepared for your big, fancy, expensive batteries to just shut off on you because they're like, too cold. The BMS just shut out. Peace out. I don't want to work anymore. You don't think about those kind of things because in those temperatures, you think your batteries are just going to be able to run your house. But apparently not. They probably would have been fine if I didn't make that heater mistake. And that sucked to figure out. I was like, that really honestly sucked when I figured that out. Like, come on, man. Really? But you know, those are things that happen in van life. Van life, like I always say, is an experiment. You always just kind of go through the day-to-days and figure things out as they go, and you learn lessons as things go on. We're not all experts. Everybody in my comments apparently was a giant expert. Well, congratulations to you for being the smartest dude on the planet. But I think when those people get into vans, they're going to start learning that they don't know everything. I don't know everything. I learn more and more every day. But that's why I like having moments like that one. Because if you go through life not learning, it's like you don't progress and do anything. You're not a know-it-all in the world, even though you think you are a know-it-all. You're not. When you actually get out there in the world and start doing things, you're going to learn that, holy crap, Chrome's right. Van life is an experiment. And what I do in my life is not going to work for you. What Johnny Ding Dong on his YouTube channel, I don't know, is there a YouTube channel called Johnny Ding Dong? I hope so. That'd be awesome. What he says on his channel may not work for you either. This lifestyle you need to figure out on your own. Take some of the things that you see on my channel, some of the experiences that I go through, and maybe try to apply that to your van build, but don't 100% apply it. Think about you at that point. Think, well, Chrome did this. Is that really going to work in my area? Chrome has 100% humidity where he is in the winter, but I only have 45. So that's a totally different climate. So keep everything that you watch on YouTube in mind to the areas that person lives in. This is a pretty awesome little spot. Anyway, you guys, when it comes to building out your van, do the best you can. Keep in mind the areas that you're going to be in throughout your van life journey. If you're going to be in summer weather, build your van around having lots of ventilation and good for summer weather. If you plan on chasing that super cold winter day or living up in the Arctic in your van, then plan your van around that. You're never going to have the van that's perfect in all climates. You're never going to have one that's going to be awesome at like plus 50 degrees Celsius, but you're never going to be perfect in both extremes. Do you know what I'm saying? So build your van out the best you can and be prepared as you can. We're not all experts out there. Thanks for riding along with us. Hopefully maybe my experiences, my ups and downs of my van life journey will help some of you guys. But a lot of this is just common sense and being able to adapt to the things that you go through in van life, because that's what van life is. Van life is adapting to all the crazy stuff this life throws at you. This is not your normal lifestyle. This is not normal at all. What you experience in a home or anything like that that's enclosed and heated and properly insulated and plugged into the grid is nothing like it is living in this thing. All right, you guys, have some fun, stay weird, and love each other, you guys, okay? No, don't hate on people. Everybody's different, everybody's weird, everybody has their own things to offer this world, so just damn it, love each other. Why is it so hard to say goodbye sometimes? Peace out.